GT3 RS, Dakar, Carrera T and Turbo S. In my opinion, these are the very best versions of the Porsche 911. But which out of these is my favourite? Well, to find out, I'm going to drive them from here in Lyon, 500 miles, all the way to Monaco. Let's do this. I'm going to start my journey off in the Turbo S because the first 3 hours is on the motorway and it's a bit wet, and this is the perfect car for that situation. Let's go. You can cage it like that. Okay. Do I go that way or do I go that way? It started badly already. Do I go that way or that way? Right, here we go. Definitely glad I'm not in the GT3 RS because it doesn't have surround view cameras like this one. You can't get them on it. Right, there we go. It's better. No, come off. I want to see the map now. Map. The river. I'm trying to work it out in my head. It's that way. I can only go that way anyhow. Well, this is a perfect way to test out a Porsche 911 Turbo S. Lyon's endless traffic. 24 minutes added to my time. To be fair, out of all the cars, I'd rather be in this. It's just more comfortable, which is key for this kind of thing. And that's the beauty of the Turbo S, is that it gives you the best of both worlds. Luxury, relative comfort for a 911, but then when the road does open up, it's got all the performance you could ever wish for, and it's also very good fun to drive. But for now, yeah, it's all right for just pootling in traffic too.
One eternity later.
Finally, the traffic has ended. We're out on the auto route. I've had a wee. Let's go for it. Whoa, that's what I'm talking about. This car is just brutal when you put your foot down. Absolutely nuts. And I'm so glad I was in this and not that Carrera T. That would have been the worst car for an hour's worth of traffic, which we actually had to endure, because that Carrera T is a manual. This 8-speed PDK auto just pretty much gives you the best of both worlds. It's engaging when you want it to be, and then when you don't, whack it into drive and let it do its own thing. Well, this is really nice, just driving through this area here with the low clouds. Just looks really cool. You do get a bit of tyre noise. Tyres are huge, but the most noticeable intrusion is wind noise, a bit of fluttering from around here. For a sports car, it's not bad. Even when you drive past trucks, it's quite well insulated. You don't get too much noise from them. Also helps with the ambience of the cabin. It's just pretty cool as well. But I want to find some twisty roads and have some fun. Coming through a toll here. Let's do the classic drag race start from a toll. See if I can. There's a car behind me. No, they're too close. Also, whoa. We're just spinning up all four wheels. I had it in Sport Plus, where it's got minimised traction and stability, and it just went nuts. Let's just dial it back to just normal. Finally, whoa, we've come to some twisty roads. And this is definitely the car for this situation. 4-wheel drive, good grip, plenty of punch, not peaky. Look at the huge dog in there. Quite annoying situation where this guy in front likes to speed up. Right, safety system's warning me I'm getting a bit too close. Look, I mean, why are you speeding up, you utter tool bag? It's just like, what? So I've got the driving mode in wet, and it's managing to just find grip pretty much everywhere. Considering that person's got a huge dog in the boot of their car, and they're in some old VW, they're very keen to keep up. I feel very sorry for that dog. And I think that's the end of the fun, because we've got a lorry carrying skips in front of us. Yay! And here comes the VW. Look, it's trying to overtake. What's the matter with you? We've got a passing lane, thankfully. They are on it in their Passat estate. Oh look, we've got some snow on the mountains. Almost didn't see that. Woof. but it doesn't really matter. This car's got your back. It's predictable, responsive, grippy, easy, so good. And then it's also good when you get into a flow. It's a nice, like, easy meandering bends. It's just so nice, just riding that wave of torque from the 3.8 litre twin turbo flat six. I have to say, I don't think I'd rather be in any of the other 911s right now. This is the perfect one for these conditions. Maybe the Dakar, but that might have been a bit annoying on the motorway with the tyre noise, those big knobbly tyres. Certainly won't want to be in the GT3 RS right now. Oh, let's have some windows down. So while this car is capable, flexible, it's also a little bit sick-inducing. At least I'm not on that. That would definitely make me feel sick. Oh, I hate a coach journey up the mountains. I'm going to launch this Turbo S. It's supposed to do 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds, but it's wet. What's going to happen? Traction is amazing. How on earth did it do that time in these conditions? 2.87 seconds, 0.17 seconds slower than it's supposed to do. This thing is insane. Let me talk you around this Turbo S. So let's start with the colour. Believe it or not, this is green. It's called Adventurine Green. Now the starting price of this car is £180,000 for this Turbo S. You get things like 20-inch alloy wheels with centre locking caps. You've got Porsche carbon ceramic brakes as standard as well. You've got the wide body because it's the turbo with the air vents here into the engine. Speaking of which, 3.8 litre twin turbo flat six, 650 horsepower and 800 newton meters of torque, driving all four wheels. You got Porsche torque vectoring, so limited slip differential on the rear axle, and you also have rear axle steering. Now let's have a look inside. So, oh, look at this. This has the heritage package on it, so it's £5,000 extra. So we've got this nice leather here. You've got thing there, look, exclusive manufacturer here, and you got the houndstooth pattern on the seats. Also on the doors, can you see? In fact, this car has what's known as the extended leather door package. So you get leather all over the doors, but that adds an extra £1,000 to the price. I do quite like the interior, though Adam, who's on camera, let's have a look at Adam. Come on, Adam, there's Adam. Adam doesn't like the houndstooth so much. In here, we've got, obviously, Porsche communication system. Let me just turn it on, show you another must-have option on this. Obviously it comes with Android Auto now, but look, surround parking, £800, well worth it, really, really useful, with a forward-facing camera and a rear-facing camera, and of course a bird's eye view. Like that a lot, got to get it. It's also got adaptive cruise, though it seems to have lane keeping assist, but I couldn't make it work. That's £1,500. Maybe you have to pay extra for the lane keeping, I don't know. Right, one thing to note about the turbo, you've got all that power, yet you do have some practicality because we've got some rear seats there and ISOFIX there and there. And do they have it on the front seat? Yes, very important, on the front seat as well. Here on the inside though, really, really nice. This car with all the options, £193,000. Oh, there is one other thing this car has, and it's this button here. Sports exhaust. Believe it or not, you don't get a sports exhaust as standard on the Turbo S. It's an extra £2,500. I've jumped into the Dakar now. This car is based on the GTS, which means it's got a 3 litre flat six twin turbo with 480 horsepower and 570 newton meters of torque. So it's way down on power and way down on torque to that Turbo S, and you really notice it. For instance, I'm in top gear, 8th gear. I'm going to do 100 kilometers an hour. I'm going to plant my right foot now. I'm going downhill and it's still taking ages to pick up. That Turbo S with its extra 230 newton meters of torque would have just surged ahead. You really do have to change the gears to get into the power, and then you're off. 5th gear then, flooring it, felt like flooring it in top gear in the Turbo S. That's what a difference the torque makes. What a difference the torque makes. Now you notice with this car that you're sat sort of higher because it's got that raised suspension, but you sit lower in the car because it's got RS Sport bucket seats here, the carbon fibre bucket seats. They are quite a bit firmer than the comfort seats in that Turbo S, and you can't alter the back at all, you can't recline it. And I haven't been behind the wheel long, and already I'm finding it little bit achy on my back. The Turbo S, totally fine. Now it does worry me because I've got these seats in my GT3 RS. Other things to note, we've got an Alcantara steering wheel, which just feels a lot nicer. Another thing I noticed, these Scorpion off-road tyres, they make more tyre noise. They really do when you're driving on the motorway. Makes it a louder car. I don't know if this has less soundproofing than the Turbo S. Probably does. Benefit of that is this though. Actually, sports exhaust on. It just sounds better. It really does. And actually, when you're in the right gear, this car feels easily quick enough. I mean, the turbo is nuts, but this is bang on it for the kind of performance you want. It's enough. You don't need more than that. In fact, you don't even need that. Now this Dakar, it's actually got some huge tyres on the roof, and that is affecting the weight and the centre of gravity. But anyway, because you're sat up tall and you've got softer suspension, this car does lean more in the bends than the Turbo S. It has the same rear axle steering, and it's still got Porsche's torque vectoring of the rear axle, but that higher ride height, softer suspension makes it just a little bit more compliant and a bit more floaty, but not in a bad way. In some ways, in a good way. Makes it quite involving. This Dakar is supposed to do 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, but let's see what we can do. .82 seconds. There's a bit of wheel spin there. Let's give it another go. That hooked better. Slightly slower. 3.84. Let's try it with the stability off. We're going to go sideways. I think that's your time. 3.8 seconds. Maybe if you don't have the crazy off-road tyres, that's how you get your 3.4. Actually, let's try it in sport mode. See if it's better than rally mode. Oh, revs higher. That's better. 3.59. Clearly, rally mode is for launching it when you're off-road on gravel or something like that.
A few moments later.
I'm going to try just one more 0 to 60 because I've lowered the car. .46. Made a bit of a difference. That's good. Right, so we're on some narrow, nadgety, bumpy, lumpy roads, which are more like those that you get in the UK. And I think this is the kind of environment where the Dakar will excel. In fact, I've timed this perfectly. This is exactly what the car is for. I think it's going quicker down here than probably the Turbo S would. And now we're back onto some normal smoothie bits. Wish those windscreen wipers weren't squeaking. That's it, you shut up. It's quite a different experience this, but I like it. Apart from those windscreen wipers, I'm playing with the gears a lot more than I was in the Turbo S, mainly because you have to. But it does add an extra level of involvement to the car. Oh, I've just seen something that could be fun. Here we go. What's this? Looks like an off-road buggy track. Got the suspension in the race position. Oh. Oh God. Damn it. That would have been perfect. What a wasted opportunity. Anyway, what's going on over here? Maybe I can just have a little razz round here. Let's get the stability off. Probably shouldn't be doing that. This car's ace. Definitely couldn't do that in the Turbo S. There's a tunnel. Probably just a load of wind noise and tyre noise, to tell you the truth, but it's only good to my ears. Oh, look. Car park. It's been naughty. That was close. Stop this. This car just makes you behave badly. Calm down. Gotta say, I love this car. It is so much fun. Now let me talk you around it. So you've got the Carrera GTS body, but it's got this bespoke spoiler at the back. Also, obviously, it's raised up by 50mm as standard, but when you raise it further, it can go up to 80mm, and I've got it on the highest setting. Brings you onto the wheels, 20 inches at the back, 19 at the front, so smaller than a GTS's wheel. Also, you've got these bespoke Pirelli Scorpion off-road tyres. Now, because you've got a smaller wheel, you have smaller brakes than the GTS, they're the Carrera brakes. Anyhow, moving down the side, you can see this optional extra accessory roof package. And if you look here, see where the aerial normally is, on this Dakar, you have an electrical connection to the roof rack. So you can do this, look, rally lights. This roof rack costs £4,300, which is quite a lot. Moving to the front, you have the carbon fibre bonnet from the 911 Gt3. Bit like the Gt3 RS, you don't have the central radiator there at all. But it's not for the same reason. The reason you haven't got it on this car is because they needed to increase the ground clearance, so you couldn't have the central radiator there. So what you have instead are larger radiators than on a GTS here. They're actually from the turbo. Anyhow, let's check it out on the inside. So like a 911 Gt3 RS, you get the lovely racing carbon fibre seats, and feels very sporty here on the inside. You've got your Dakar badging, and this one has the rally package. So you've got your roll cage, you've got your fire extinguisher, you've got your 6-point harnesses, but I can't see them in this car. Yeah, that costs an extra £3,000. Oh, that is one option on this car. The only other option is the exterior paint, which once again is a green that doesn't look all that green. Now I'm in the Carrera T. It's got a 3-litre twin-turbo flat-six with 385 horsepower and 450 newton-meters of torque. It's got a 7-speed manual, supposed to do 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. Here's the reality. Come on. Oof, it's wet, it's rear-wheel drive. It bogged a little bit on launch, didn't get enough tyre slip, but still did 5 seconds. That is not bad. Do you know what? I really like this car. I do think it is all the Porsche 911 you really actually need. Not necessarily all the Porsche 911 you actually want, but it's definitely all you need. It's well worth the extra money over the standard Carrera on which it's based. That car costs £97,000. The Carrera T is £106,000. It costs £9,000 more than the standard Carrera, but you get some key upgrades. The first is the Sport chassis, so that lowers the car by 10mm. Also, you get Porsche Torque Vectoring, which is a limited slip differential on the rear axle. Another thing you get is the option of a manual gearbox. I say option, it comes as standard with a manual gearbox, a 7-speed manual, but if you want to have the PDK Auto, you can do for no extra cash. The car also gets the engine mount from the Gt3, plus Gt3 lightweight windows and rear window as well. The Carrera T also comes without rear seats, though you can have them refitted for no extra cost. And to tell you the truth, I would do, because it just makes the car so much more practical. To drive though, it really is good. Such a nice, predictable handling car. The engine has all the performance you need on the road. The manual gives you this extra layer of involvement over the PDK. Though, do you know what, overall I'll probably go for the PDK, just because for living with it every day, which this car is more than capable for doing, it's just more useful to have that automatic gearbox for when you're in traffic. On a blast, yes, the manual edges the PDK, but overall the auto is the more sensible option. One thing about this manual is that it comes with auto blip as standard, so I've got that engaged at the moment, so I put into second, auto blips for me like that. If I want to heel and tow, I can either go into normal mode and it disengages it, or I will go into the settings, turn it off, and then I'll try and heel and tow myself. Let's see if it's easy with the pedal arrangement. Here comes a corner, braking. Bit jerky there, Watson, but the placement is pretty good. Yeah, it's nice. I'll probably just do it myself, to tell you the truth. It's the whole point of having a manual, isn't it? It's always harder to heel and on the road than on the racetrack because you're not hitting the brakes quite so hard. This car has been fitted with the optional rear wheel steering. It's £1,800 and I would probably fit it because it just adds an extra level of agility to the car. You notice it when you turn it, just turns into the corner a little bit quicker because you've got that rear axle just turning as well to just get the car rotating. Some people don't like it. I like it. Oh, it's so good. I had such a laugh in that Dakar, but in some ways I'm actually preferring this, and I'm preferring it than the turbo as well, although I think my experience in the turbo was ruined slightly by the weather and the fact I was in traffic quite a bit. Do you know what? If I hadn't got an allocation for a GT3 RS and I wanted a 911, so far this is the one I'm getting. So I've been driving the car with the suspension in normal mode. I'm going to put it into stiff because these roads are so smooth. Interesting to see what that does for the grip. Speaking of grip, I don't feel like I'm missing the four-wheel drive of the other two cars. There's so much traction, I just don't really need it. Even in these conditions, you can actually feel the Porsche torque vectoring pulling the car around the corner when you're accelerating out the bend. It's really nice. And that's one of the things that you just don't get with a normal Carrera because it's not fitted with it. And you can't get it fitted to the car either. Likewise, you can't have that sports chassis fitted to the normal base Carrera. You can only get them on the S. I wouldn't bother with the S. It's not worth the extra money for the extra power. I absolutely love this car. It's been my favourite to drive so far, and you can probably hear this. Listen. Clearly been driving it hard. Fans are going, and listen to this. It's ticking, it's ticking. And what a bomb it is. 385 horsepower feels like so much more. I mean, looks wise, it's normal 911. The decals do help just make it seem a little bit more sporty and like the smoked alloys. In fact, I think this particular spec is bang on the money. They've fitted the upgraded Matrix LED headlights, so the ones that will actually blank out part of their beam. It's like £2,500 for those, but you know, if you're buying this car, it's worth spending that extra for those lights because they make a difference when it's getting dark like it is now. Okay, right, let's go on the inside. Now, you know how I said that I'd probably get this as an automatic? That's absolute nonsense. Been having a right laugh with this car. I definitely have it as a manual, and I just put up with the fact that it could be a bit of a pain in traffic. Still haven't changed my mind about the rear seats. Why would you not have the rear seats? Although at the moment they're quite handy, like not having the rear seats because we're storing our cameras there. But yes, what an absolutely brilliant all-round sports car that does the job. Things I would do though is probably add some yellow accents to the interior, like yellow there and on the rev counter, and maybe you can get yellow seat belts as well, just to tie in with the outside, just make it feel a little bit more sporty. But other than that, classic 911, good quality, nice design, easy to use, and a great place to sit. Anyway, it's getting dark now. It's the end of the day. I've got one more car to drive, but I think I'm going to leave it till tomorrow to drive that one. It's the biggie. New day, new car, the last one, the GT3 RS. And what an environment for it here in the south of France on the twisty mountain roads. Now, a lot of people say this car is really just meant for the racetrack. Too firm, too bouncy, too unruly for on the road, but actually it's not. So there's a little trick you do with the suspension. You put it into track mode, it gives you full functionality over the suspension, rebound and compression, and all you do is slacken it all off. And then this thing actually goes over bumps better than a standard GT3. I mean, that's not the hardest thing in the world to achieve, but it's surprising that this has stiffer springs by a considerable margin than that car, yet it just rides better. Oh, and compared to all the other 911s I've driven so far, main thing about this one is this. That naturally aspirated motorsport derived 4-litre flat six with its 525 horsepower, an amazing soundtrack. That's one thing with GT cars, pulling both pedals, and it allows you to disengage drive, and then you can just rev it up in neutral. And this engine is such a dream. It's why I bought my GT3 RS. I just wanted the engine, and I thought if you're going to buy the engine, may as well get it in the best possible chassis, which is the 3RS. Whoa, just hearing that engine bounce off the mountainside and the steering, right? So key thing about the 911 GT cars is that unlike the normal 911s, which have McPherson strut front suspension, these have double wishbone, so you just have more stability over the front wheel. It keeps the contact patch of the tyre in greater contact with the ground, so you just have more front end bite, and you really notice it. Just the response of the steering, the way it just seems completely keyed into the road. It's an absolute dream. There's no vagueness or looseness to the steering like there is in the normal 911. It actually makes it feel less 911-y than all previous 911s, but that's not a bad thing because it's still very 911-y. The way you've got the engine over the back, the traction you get out of the corners, and just the sheer enjoyment you can get from the car. Now this is one of the things about this 3RS. Just driving on there, if it had been manual, I'd have probably been between mainly second gear, third. Now you can explore more of the gears with the paddle shifters. I just feel you can just, when it's really tight, just shift through the gears. But one thing I wasn't really enjoying, which you get to enjoy a bit more when you're going slow like now, is just these paddle shifters that you get as part of the Visac with the magnetic actuation they have. So when you pull it, the last part of the paddle travel is a magnet just pulling it in for that last millimetre, and you get this amazing click, and it just adds a layer of tactility to the car, which helps make up for the fact that you're not, paddling the car yourself. That's just so much more fun than in the car without it. The PDK is brilliant, but this adds a layer of feel to the PDK that you don't get in all the other 911s. In fact, all the other PDK equipped cars. It's worth having Visac just for that, even though it is like a £29,000 option. Of course, you do get some extras like the carbon roll cage, the magnesium wheels, the exposed carbon fibre. But really, it's just for this. £29,000 for this? If you're paying this much money for the car, worth it. Oh, hello. You don't want to be crossing the white line when one of those comes past. Oh, the traction's so good. I felt a bit of slip there, but it was totally just predictable and manageable and very, very enjoyable. This car's on the Goodyear tyres, and they seem good out here right now. Mine's got Pirelli Corsas on it. I think the best tyre for this car are the Cup 2s from Michelin. I'm going to give a special shout out to the carbon ceramic brakes on this car, which give you loads of confidence. Now there's some advantages to them over the iron brakes. Now Porsche's iron brakes, especially on the RS, are very, very good. But you save unsprung mass with the carbon ceramics, which just make the steering feel a little bit more responsive. And when you combine that with the magnesium wheels of the Visac pack, yeah, it does elevate the feel of the car. I'm saying that like I've experienced the non-Visac car without iron discs, but really it will do because there's quite a big difference in the overall weight. We're talking like kilograms per corner. Then there's the fact that, going down mountain roads, caning the brakes constantly, they're never going to overheat. And finally, one of the most important things about carbon ceramics for someone who loves the look of their car is the fact you don't get any brake dust. So you're not having to constantly clean your alloys if you've been out for a spirited drive. I actually was offered a GT3 RS without Visac and without Commons for a very early build slot, but I was like, do you know what, I really want the paddle shifters, so I'm going to wait for Visac, and I can't buy the car without carbon ceramics because it's going to be a keeper. I'm going to always wish that I had the carbons on it. And so I waited, and as a result, it meant that I had to wait all the way from my order time in February to September until I finally got the car. But worth the wait. Do you know what? Well, I'm just driving along quite sedately. This car is perfectly livable in terms of how it drives for everyday driving. You can live with it. Now, the storage and practicality is another issue, which is a pain. But in terms of the comfort levels of the car and how easy it is to drive, and if I put it into just auto mode, it's not as bad as you'd think. Definitely better than a normal GT3, definitely better than a Cayman GT4 RS. And then when you want to have some fun, my God, nothing competes. Interesting thing though, I was really blown away by the Carrera T yesterday. I had so much fun in it, really good car, really engaging. And I thought, am I going to be a bit disappointed by this? I actually haven't been able to open my own GT3 RS up properly yet, because I'm still running it in. It's only done 450 miles. I haven't gone above 4,500 RPM. So to be able to get to thrash one, I'm so looking forward to mine being finally run in. Although, to be fair, we don't have roads like this in the UK. Well, not in close proximity to where I live. And it will be interesting to see what that 3RS is like on our British roads, because they're not quite as good as this. Even though these aren't perfect, they're not quite like German roads, they are better than what we find in the UK. Oh, listen to that. So I'm driving with the window down to hear this. Just the engine note ricocheting off the walls. I'll let you hear it with the windows up. I'm going to go back down. It's really good with the windows up. There's enough noise, and in some ways the Cayman GT4 RS, which I love the sound of, after a while it can get a little bit tiring. This has the balance just right because the engine is further away from you, and it has a better exhaust note, I find, than a Cayman GT4 RS because it has shorter exhaust pipes. The Caymans have to go back to the front and round because the engine is the wrong way round, well, the opposite way round in the Cayman because it's mid-mounted, and that's the only way they can fit the gearbox in, and so the pipes are longer, so the sound isn't as good from the exhaust as this. Those brakes squeaking and doing my head in a bit though. They might need to be looked at. Don't mind if I do. I'm just coasting, revving. Oh, I love this thing. I can't believe how much grip it's got. I don't know how much of the downforce I'm feeling. Maybe a little bit. But it doesn't matter. Mechanically, the amount of grip you've got is insane. Now we're in some traffic, so once again, I don't mind. I can just play with the engine. And that's one thing you can't do with the manual. You know, just be... Play it like a musical instrument. I think I'm exhausted now. Having so much fun is hard work. I think in this life it's important to sometimes share the love. And this is cameraman Adam. Say hello, Adam.
Hello.
I just thought it only fair for him to have a go. Don't worry, Adam, the roads will get better in a second. I'm not just giving you the bum deal. That throttle response is nuts, isn't it?
Crazy, it's just right there.
Like the turbos, even with that Carrera T, where there's hardly any lag. Whoa! Where there's hardly any lag. This naturally aspirated engine is just on it as soon as you flex your right foot. It's just crazy.
It's just crazy. It makes no sense.
And even though it's really revvy, like once you're over 3,000 RPM, there's lots of torque. It's got easily enough pulling power. It doesn't feel peaky. It just seems to go on forever, that's all. Guys, I don't know how you do your job, just being sat in the passenger seat, monitoring a camera and stuff like that.
It's hard, it's just so planted, it's unbelievable.
I tell you what's good, actually, sitting in the passenger seat, is noticing how good these seats are at keeping you in place. Because obviously when you're driving, you've got the steering wheel. But just as a passenger, I'm not being thrown about too much. They're holding me nicely. I like to be held nicely. Adam, I need to fart. I've got really bad wind.
Go on then.
I've been eating like these French boiled sweets without sugar, and they've got like sorbitol in them or something. And I can't seem to digest it properly. TMI. We've probably got my jacket in the back of shot because it's just all like gone flying about all over the place.
You're right, it's just, it puts it where you want it to be. Like,
Exactly, there's no like slop, there's no like squidge in the steering at all.
in a way, it just makes you feel a little bit safer as well.
Yeah, because you know exactly what the front's doing.
Exactly.
Oh, look at him, we're making motoring journalist out of you, my friend. What do you think of the paddles?
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
When you think about the other paddles, they just don't have that feel, do they?
I haven't tried them, but...
Oh, you didn't drive the other two cars.
Later.
You're right on okay.
Yeah.
Reverse. It's not going into reverse. Transmission fault. Possibly no reverse gear, it's just died. This is really embarrassing. We have no reverse gear. None at all. And I'm stuck across the road. Can I get round? They've got no gears. Oh wait. Get round, because otherwise we're in trouble. And maybe, let's let this guy go. No, let's let all these guys go. Chill the car out a second. Turn it off. Oh dear. Drive it normally. The warning light has gone. I think the clutch might have just got hot. Or it got crossed because I changed it to reverse too quick. Ah, I haven't broken it. Right, let's have a little go at a launch. Here we go. All traction issues. 3.85. That was struggling then for traction. No. Similar. The road is a bit greasy. Let's go again, but it's still greasy. That hook better. Shame about the gear shift. Oh, I was ashamed because the gear shift was a bit crap then. Did a 3.6, I reckon the gear shift just ruined it a bit. Never had it jolt the gear shift like that before. I think it might have just lost traction then the stability kicked in. One more go. That's it. 3.47. I'm going to stop it there. That's enough. This is what it's supposed to do. One final thing to test with the RS is what it's like just driving around town and over speed humps. Well, this one's fitted with the optional axle lift, which is a must on a car like this. And the thing is, the satellite navigation will remember the location and you can get it to automatically lift when you get to the same place again. Handy if you've got a steep drive or some speed humps around your town that you regularly go over. Look, it hasn't loaded yet, it stayed high. I think it stays high up to about 30 miles an hour. So you can just drive through town without worrying about ripping off your front splitter, which means you don't have to go painfully slow, annoying all the other road users. It's fine on the road. Surprisingly fine, surprisingly good. And I'm not just saying that because I got one, it really is. Now, I've read a lot on forums about people saying, I'd love a GT3 RS because they're awesome to drive, but I'd be too embarrassed to drive one on the road. Well, I think those people are morons, because one of the main reasons to have this car is for the way it looks, because nothing else looks like this. It's got so much presence, and all the vents and the strakes, they're not for show, they're for actual downforce. This has way more downforce than any other Porsche 911 road car. It's crazy. Now, what they've done is actually gotten rid of the two side radiators. You've only got one central radiator. That's so they can funnel air down the side of the car. And you've got like spats here that smooth airflow over the wheels. These vents here which let pressurized air out the wheel arches. And the wings, the bonnet, and the doors, they're made out of carbon fibre, and they're sculptured once again to just smooth the airflow. And if you look close at the dirt on this car, you can see how the air has actually flown down the side of it. Look at it. And up over this massive wing, the wing that provides real meaningful downforce, and is a big part of how this car looks. Now, this one has the Visat package, so you've got the exposed carbon fibre on the wing there, you've got it on the roof, and you've got it on the bonnet. This one has the blue wheels. What do you think of the look of this blue with blue stickers on white paint scheme? Do you like it? What's your favourite combo? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, let's move around the back. Look at this. I love the big Porsche logo there that you get on the back. Once again, you get that with the Visat pack. You don't have it with the normal standard car, though I'm sure you can get someone to make some stickers for you. You got the central mounted exhaust there, sports exhaust as standard, sounds awesome. Love this little kind of ducktail spoiler here as well. Looks so mean. But there is a trade-off for the big wing and all the aero, and it's this. Because you've lost those two side radiators, Porsche's had to put the radiators and fans where the front boot would normally be. And that's one of the key things about a Porsche 911, a useful front boot. You've lost it. It gets worse on the inside. You see, if you have the cage fitted to the car, which you absolutely have to, then you also lose the functionality of this space here, which you can put luggage in. And it's made even worse by these carbon fibre bucket seats because they don't recline. You can push them forward, but to get stuff behind there is a real nightmare. So what you end up doing is getting some very small little bags and then just threading them through the gaps in the roll cage. And this being the Visac, you get the carbon fibre roll cage, which just looks so special. Speaking of which, that's one thing about the GT3 RS. It really doesn't feel like a normal 911 on the inside. The main reason, the steering wheel, so unique. No other 911 has these 4 dials on the steering wheel. Then there's little flashes of GT3 RS there on the clocks as well. Ah, lovely. It's expensive though, £192,000 for the basic car. This one with options, it's like £235,000. However, if you're lucky enough to get an allocation, you could probably sell it the next day for about £380,000, though your Porsche dealer won't thank you for it. But the big thing is really that if you buy one, you don't have to worry too much about depreciation because these things hold their value like nothing else. Now that does bring me on to which out of all the 911s is the best. Well, without doubt it's this. It's just incredible. However, I've got to give an honourable mention to that Carrera T because far more attainable. You'll be able to walk into a dealer and she'll be able to buy one. And in terms of value for money and just what a good all-round usable yet fun car it is, it's an absolute winner. And if I didn't have my own GT3 RS and I wanted a sports car which would double as a daily and a fun weekend car, it would be the 911 Carrera T. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know if you agree with my verdict in the comments. Click on the video windows for some more videos and on the CarWow logo to subscribe to this channel for some more stuff with the 911 GT3 RS.